Well, actually, Elvis loved the song. That was when he and Priscilla were having their problems, which I met her recently.
It happened during a surprise appearance that caught fans in the music world completely off guard. Dolly Parton, the icon whose career has spanned genres, generations, and global admiration, stepped on stage at a Nashville charity gala looking radiant and comfortable in her element. With the room hanging on her every word, she did something rare even for her open-book personality. She named 7 musicians she deeply loves, a gesture filled with both warmth and significance. While celebrities often acknowledge peers or influences in casual interviews, this felt different. It wasn't scripted, it wasn't promotional. It was Dolly, raw and unscripted, opening a door into her private musical soul. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more exclusive news. The naming of these 7 musicians wasn't just a sweet nod. It was a statement. Dolly Parton's influence reaches far beyond the realm of country music. She's an institution, a cultural touchstone, and a creator whose opinion resonates with those in the industry and with the millions who listen to her music. So when she names musicians she loves, people pay attention, not simply out of curiosity, but because her choices carry weight. They tell a story about what matters in music right now, what artistry means to her, and perhaps what she sees in the future of music. The names she spoke into that hushed venue weren't picked at random. Each came with layers of implication. What made the moment especially compelling was how personal it felt. There was no fanfare, no big lead-in, just Dolly smiling that familiar smile, letting her words tumble out like a heartfelt confession. And even without quoting her, the sentiment was clear. These were musicians she truly loved. Not admired from a distance. Not simply respected professionally, but loved. That distinction matters. It transforms the moment from a simple name drop to a vulnerable offering, as if she was handing over pieces of her heart through each mention. The implications rippled almost immediately. For those named, being included in such a small and intimate list was undoubtedly career-affirming. While Dolly has always been generous with praise, she's also discerning. Her standards, shaped by decades in a tough industry, are high. And while she's universally beloved, she doesn't throw around artistic affection lightly. Her love for these 7 musicians suggests they embody something that resonates deeply with her. Maybe it's songwriting skill, emotional delivery, creative bravery, or simply the feeling they evoke. Whatever it is, they've struck a chord in someone whose own career has been a symphony of resilience, talent, and enduring relevance. Beyond the personal validation for those 7 names, the moment had broader meaning for fans in the music community. It peeled back a layer of Dolly's internal world. We've seen her play many roles: the clever lyricist, the businesswoman, the philanthropist, the performer, the sharp-tongued storyteller. But here she stood as a listener, a fan, someone who sits with music the way the rest of us do, quietly, emotionally, and with awe. That side of her often gets overshadowed by her own towering contributions. But this moment reminded everyone that even legends listen. It's impossible to ignore how Dolly's words intersect with the ongoing evolution of the music industry. In a time where algorithms recommend what we hear, where viral moments can outshine musical depth, and where fame can be fleeting, her choice to spotlight 7 artists she genuinely loves felt almost rebellious. It was an act of curation. In essence, Dolly stepped into the role of a tastemaker, not in the sense of dictating trends, but in the sense of showing people where the soul still lives in music. Her list was her version of saying, "These voices matter. This is what moves me." This resonates particularly strongly because Dolly has always defied simple categorization. She emerged from the Appalachian Hills with a voice steeped in tradition and a mind sharpened by ambition. She became a crossover success when others warned her against it. She built an empire of empathy, songwriting, and business savvy in an industry that hasn't always welcomed women in positions of power. So when she speaks with unfiltered admiration about other musicians, it's more than mere praise. It's a benediction. She's giving them her stamp, not of approval, but of artistic kinship. The musicians she named came from different genres, different age groups, and different creative backgrounds. That was another powerful element of the moment. It wasn't limited to country music. It wasn't even limited to current chart toppers or legacy artists. There was a fluidity to her selections that spoke volumes about what Dolly values. She hears beyond categories. She listens to what people are saying in their music, not where they're shelved in record stores or playlists. That openness is part of why she remains relevant. She doesn't cling to the past. She holds it with love, but keeps her ears tuned to the present. For fans, this moment gave a chance to connect with Dolly in a new way. People have followed her for decades, knowing her songs, her backstory, her philanthropic endeavors. But discovering who she loves to listen to is like being invited into her living room. It brings her closer. It's not a manufactured moment, but a shared one. Suddenly, people found themselves queuing up songs by the 7 artists she named, listening with fresh ears, wondering what she hears in them. That's a rare kind of influence, to shift listening habits not through force, but through affection. The ripple effect doesn't end with streaming numbers. There's an emotional impact too. For aspiring musicians, being spotlighted by Dolly isn't just about visibility. It's about encouragement. It tells them that heart still matters in an industry often driven by commercial interests. For established artists, being loved by Dolly affirms their path. It validates risks taken, messages shared, and corners refused to be cut. And for the broader audience, it's a reminder that even someone as iconic as Dolly continues to be moved by new voices. Her musical journey is still unfolding, not just in what she creates, but in what she consumes. This moment also holds symbolic weight in the arc of Dolly's public narrative. She's nearing an age where many would step back, take victory laps, bask in retrospectives. But here she is, still immersed in discovery. It reinforces that her relationship with music isn't a career, it's a calling. She doesn't just make music, she lives it. And living music means staying open to it, staying inspired by it, and staying willing to express love for it. Her naming of these 7 musicians was as much about where she is now as it was about them. It told us that her ears and her heart are still wide open. Critics, fans, and fellow artists quickly took notice, not just because of who she named, but how she did it. She didn't frame it as an official endorsement. There were no hashtags, no tie-in releases, no press releases accompanying her words. That authenticity made the moment stronger. It was a gesture without agenda. That's part of why it resonated so deeply. In a cultural climate where endorsements are often transactional and praise is part of marketing strategies, Dolly's list felt human. It felt real. It felt earned. From a cultural standpoint, Dolly's gesture feeds into a larger hunger for sincerity in music and in public life. People are weary of curated personas, algorithmic hits, and formulaic storytelling. They crave something raw, something emotionally grounded. Dolly's voice, both in music and in commentary, has always carried that authenticity. So her moment of naming wasn't just a celebrity doing what celebrities do, it was an artist recentering attention on the art, reminding everyone that love still drives creation. Not clout, not commerce, just love. Her decision to speak those names aloud also adds to the ongoing dialogue about legacy. Dolly's own legacy is well established, but her willingness to uplift others in such a heartfelt way adds a layer to how she'll be remembered. She's not just a solo light, she's a spotlight casting illumination outward. The people she named will now forever be part of her story, and that's no small thing. It cements a kind of lineage, not one of blood or genre, but of shared devotion to the craft. Music historians will undoubtedly look back on this moment as more than a charming anecdote. It could well be seen as a cultural timestamp. The moment Dolly Parton, one of the most iconic figures in American music, offered a list, not of trends, not of predictions, but of passions. And in doing so, she cut through the noise. She made people pause. She offered a reminder that amidst the machinery of the music industry, love is still the most powerful force. For the musicians she named, the impact will linger far beyond the night it happened. They now carry a piece of Dolly's affection, and that affection has power. It encourages other artists to name their influences and inspirations with the same honesty. It encourages fans to look beyond genre boundaries. It encourages the industry to value heart over hype. It's a soft revolution, but a revolution nonetheless. One built on sincerity, storytelling, and shared admiration. Even those not directly named felt the resonance. It created a sense of warmth across the industry. Like a rising tide of gratitude, people were reminded of the importance of acknowledging one another, of showing love while it still matters. Too often, admiration is expressed in memorials or long after the moment has passed. Dolly, in her infinite wisdom, chose to speak now, to give her love in the present tense. And that's a lesson in itself. It's easy to forget how unusual that is in celebrity culture. There's often pressure to compete, to guard endorsements, to stay neutral. But Dolly doesn't play by those rules. She never has. Her decision to publicly name the musicians she loves wasn't about aligning herself with trends. It was about aligning herself with truth. It was about joy, about recognition, about sharing the simple pleasure of being moved by music. In that sense, it was one of the most generous things she's done, not because of what it gave the artists, but because of what it gave the rest of us. There's something sacred about watching someone who has achieved so much still engaging with wonder. Dolly Parton didn't have to say a word. Her place in the pantheon of greats is secure, but she chose to offer a piece of herself to say, "This is what moves me." And in doing so, she invited the world to listen a little closer, not just to her, but to the music still being made, still being discovered, still being loved. This moment wasn't about nostalgia. It wasn't about legacy tours or re-releases. It was alive, dynamic, immediate. It was a reminder that music lives in the present moment, in the private act of listening, in the public act of praise. Dolly's voice, long associated with unforgettable melodies, became an instrument of recognition. And recognition, when it comes from someone like her, becomes its own form of music, quiet, powerful, and unforgettable. The musicians she named now join a lineage marked not by genre, but by grace. They've been seen, they've been felt, and as the music world continues to shift, grow, and reshape itself, this moment will remain a quiet, shimmering point of reference. It will be remembered not for its spectacle, but for its soul, for the vulnerability it carried, for the bridge it built between icons and newcomers, between tradition and innovation, between sound and feeling. Dolly Parton once again reminded us what music is really about, not just what it sounds like, but how it makes us feel, and who we love because of it. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Dolly Parton's picks? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.